All right, 8.7, mean, median, and mode. So now we're dealing with bar graphs, line graphs, and frequency tables. So just like with the last section, I'm going to start off by writing all my data down in a list so that I can deal with it and find the mean, median, and mode. So we look here, and this is an actual bar graph. It's not a histogram. For 1935, they had a 0.7. So 0.7 is my first number. And then for 1940, I was all the way up to 1. Well, it was already up to 1. 45 was 1.1. What did I just say? 45. I'll cross these off. 50 was all the way up to 2. 55 was down to 1.8. 60 was up to 1.6. 65, 1.3, right? Because we're right there. 70 was down to 1.2. 75 was at 1. And 1980 was at 1. So there's our data. We have exhausted the bar graph. That's all done. Now we just need to find our mean, median, and mode. So I'll write these down. Mean, median. I think I wrote them differently last time. I wrote median down here. And mode. So the mean, we average it. We have 10 numbers here. And I type them into my calculator to add them up, and I'll say, well, 0.7 plus 1 plus 1.1 plus 2, 1.8, 1.6, 1.3, 1.2, 1, and 1. And I got 12.7. I divide by 10, and I get 1.27. So there's my median. Or excuse me, there's my mean. For my mode, my most often one, I have a 1 here. I have a 1 here and a 1 here. So my mode is going to be 1. Now for my median, normally I write these in order from smallest to biggest. I'm going to try to do it without doing that. Okay. So I'm going to find my smallest number. My smallest number is 1. I'll cross it out. My biggest number is 2. Again, my smallest was 0.7. Let me restart. Smallest is 0.7. My biggest is 2. My new smallest is 1, and my biggest will be 1.8. My new smallest is another 1, and then 1.6, 1, and 1.3, and then I have 1.2 and 1.1. So my my median, good grief, is going to be 1.2 plus 1.1 over 2. And whenever I type that in, I'm going to have 2.3 divided by 2, which will be 1.15. So there we are. I suggest writing them in order. I think that's the more fail-safe way to do this, but you can always just kind of do it with crossing out the biggest and the smallest and just kind of searching through it. But you notice that at the beginning I had a hard time seeing the 0.7. That's why it's sometimes beneficial to write them in a list from smallest to biggest. So there's that. Number 2. This one I am going to write it down in smallest to biggest. And the way that I'm going to do that is I will look for the smallest number. That's going to be the 9 right over here. It's at 4, so I'll write the 4 down. And I'm going to cross off the bar, actually. And then I'll go to the next one. This is going to be 5. And then another 5. And another 5. And I'm going to have 2 6s. What is that going to be? Is that 10? Yeah, that's 10. Then I have, this is 18, so that's 2 19s, 19 and 19, and then 24. So there's my numbers, and they're in smallest to biggest. I think that would be useful for you. Mean, median, mode. The mean I need to count how many I have. I have 8, 9, 10 objects. And I add them up, 4, and then 15, 12, 29, 19, and 24. I did some of that addition in my head. So 103 equals, 103 over 10 is going to be 10.3. My mode, my most often one, well, I've got 3 5s and I have 2 6s. So it's going to be 5. My median, I cross off the smallest, biggest, smallest, biggest, smallest, biggest. And I have 2 6s. If I were to average 6, I'd just get a plain old 6. So there we are. I think it was considerably faster by writing them in smallest to biggest in my list. I suggest that that's what you do. All right, number 3. We handle this the same way that we handled the bar graph. We look here just to give a little bit of an example. For 1948, they had 4. For 1953, there were 6, right? The line just is meant to show you how it trends up and down, right? You can kind of see, is there a positive or a negative slope, and what does the positive or negative slope mean? But for this case, we don't care about the actual lines, we care about the dots. So I'm going to write them in order from smallest to biggest again. I'm going to start off with the bottom one here, that is 1948, and that's at 4. So I'll do 4, then I have 6, 6, and another 6. Then 1, 2, 3 7s. Then 1, 2, 3, 4 8s. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so mean, median, median, mode. The mean, I add them up and divide by how many there are. I have 9, 10, 11 numbers total. I'll use my orange pen. 11 total. And then whenever I add this together, I'm going to have 10, 6, 14, 7, 8, 16, and 8, 72. Dividing by 11 gives me 6.5. My mode, my most frequent, I have 3 6s, I have 3 7s, and then I have 4 8s. So it's going to be 8. My median, my middle number, I cross out the 4 and the 8, the 6 and the 8, 6 and the 8, 6 and the 8, 7 and 7, and I'm left with a 7. All right. Number 4, another another line graph. So I'll start off with 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, and then I'm going to have 4, and then 5, 5, 6, 7, and 8. The average, I need to add them together and divide by how many there are. I've got 8, 9 total. So I'm going to have, well, the zeros don't really matter. So 4 plus 10, 6, 7, and 8. That's going to be 35 over 9, which is 3.8. Well, we'll say that's 3.9. Ooh, and I used the wrong color. There we go. All right, the mode, the most frequent, well, I have 3 zeros and I have 2 5s. My median, I cross out the biggest and smallest, biggest and smallest. I guess I'm saying the opposite. I'm doing smallest and biggest, the 4 and the 5, and I'm left with a 5. There we are. Number 5. Now this represents the data a little bit differently. This tells us that 5 happened 3 times. You can kind of think of it as a dot plot, where if it was 5, it would have 3 dots above it. right? That's kind of the way that I convert it in my head to make it make sense. So start off with the 4. 4 happened 1 time. 5 happened 3 times. 1, 2, 3. 6 happened 2 times. 7 happened 4 times. There we are. You can see that this one would be really easy to find your mode, your most often. My mode I see really quickly is 7. My mean, my average, I need to add them up and divide by how many there are. There are 10 total. So I'm going to say 4 plus 15 plus 12 plus 14 plus 14 gave me 59, which divides out to be 5.9. My median, my middle number, I cross out smallest to biggest again, and I have 6 and 6, but I average those together and I get 6. Remember that if those were different numbers, I would have to say 6 plus 6 over 2. All right, number 6, last one. 13 happened 4 times. 14 happened 1 time. 17 happened 1 time. 18 happened 3. All right. The mode, again, is really quick to see. We just look at our frequency table. I'll erase that. The one with the biggest frequency is the mode. So it's going to be 13. The mean, I add them up and divide by how many there are. There are 9 numbers here. So 13 and 14 and 17 and 18. So 137 over 9. So I got 15.2. The median, the middle number, is going to be 14. All right, that's that.